Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Can Tyrone Spong, the unproven heavyweight prospect, upset Oleksandr Usyk on October the 12th in Chicago? That fight shapes as Usyk's first at heavyweight after a storied career at cruiserweight where he took all the belts, was undisputed, and also won the World Boxing Super Series title. So he's moving up his first fight. For many boxing fans, Spong is seen as a formality. They expect Usyk to box well and get past him comfortably enough that this is basically a tune-up of sorts for Oleksandr Usyk before he moves on to bigger and better things. And as we know, courtesy of his WBO cruiserweight title, he was the super champion, he was allowed to claim the WBO mandatory at heavyweight. He's done so. He looks like he'll have a title shot in 2020 against who we just don't know right now. But is Tyrone Spong the man to sort of throw a spanner in the works? Because certainly quite a few of his fans have been coming to my channel in the past sort of 6 weeks or so suggesting that he is. I did an announcement video for that fight whenever it came out about 6 weeks ago or so, and not immediately but trickling in over recent weeks a number of comments that Spong is being horrifically sort of looked over at the moment, and that this potentially could be a cherry pick gone wrong. And I'll get to my thoughts on that soon, but I just wanted to quickly canvass some of those comments. And clearly the people who were leaving these were Spong fans who were looking for content on this upcoming fight. Otherwise the comments would have been from regular commenters, immediately after the video was posted. But views have been trickling in over recent weeks, and you can see here on screen. Spong is going to get the upset. This is cherry picking gone wrong. That man is powerful. He got loads of high-level experience fighting. He's got a great chin, great conditioning, and high fight IQ. Another Tyrone Spong all day. One called Boxing Announcer, who left a number of comments over not just one day but several days. I tell you casuals right now, Spong will bring out October 12th. He never let us down. He always get our money worth. And in another, he says, the fight will do above 1.5 million pay-per-view buys. The whole combat sport fans will watch because of Spong. And that really is suggesting that Spong has this massive combat sports following that's crossing over with him to boxing. I'm not sure it would be really sort of as big as Boxing Announcer sort of predicts, but also it's not going to be on pay-per-view because this is going to be on DAZN. So it's a subscription service, it's not pay-per-view. But if they had have put that on pay-per-view, yeah, I think it would have probably done 10 times less than 1.5 million. But another comment here from Bazig Bezik. I think the boxing community will swallow their words once this is over. I think people are blind for the abilities of the underdog. Spong is a different animal. He doesn't lose. Even if Usyk wins, he and his camp will be wondering who they faced inside that ring and will nonetheless head back to the drawing board. I quite like that comment. Another one here from Boxing Announcer. Spong will KO him. Usyk can't take the Canelo body shots from Spong. A couple more here, as you can see, but there is a thread from Spong fans that he's been overlooked here and that he's going to do some things to Usyk that no one is really expecting. And maybe there is some scope for that, because if you look at his record at the moment, there is nothing to suggest that he's an absolute killer, because obviously 14-0 in 4 years, he really hasn't fought anyone of note. He hasn't stepped up. And it's high time. I mean, he's 34 years old. If he's going to do anything in the heavyweight division, he needed to step up. And this, in Oleksandr Usyk, even though it's Usyk's first fight at heavyweight, this does represent a massive step up in class for Tyrone Spong. But I think for boxing fans and people who haven't necessarily followed Spong's career from his kickboxing days, and obviously he can't use his legs in boxing, but clearly there's people who think that Spong has some X factor and he will be able to do something to Usyk that boxing fans at the moment, possibly because of Spong's threadbare resume, are overlooking. And I think one thing that most people know, and you've probably seen clips on social media over the years, in recent years, Spong can actually, he's got power, he can punch. He's got several highlight reel knockouts from his days in kickboxing. So, I think the power aspect, I don't really think people are underestimating that, but it's the rest of his game that is a little bit more of a mystery for most boxing fans. Does he have the stamina to go 12 rounds with Oleksandr Usyk? Because Usyk, I think we know, will make him work. Usyk is not just going to be some sort of static target sitting in front of Tyrone Spong. He's going to be giving Spong movement. He won't let him set his feet. He'll be looking to keep moving and keep Spong guessing, off balance. He'll be giving Spong lots of different angles. And I guess the question is, can Tyrone Spong unload his hands, his big punches, land something of note? And I think we have seen before, Usyk is not above being hit. He can be hit. Even Tony Bellew was able to land a few shots of note on Usyk, but ultimately they really didn't do too much. But Spong is probably hits a magnitude harder than Tony Bellew. So, there is scope that Tyrone Spong could go in here and cause an upset. But am I expecting it? I'm not, but, it's not to say that he can't go in there, put hands on Usyk and shock the world. I think if 2019 has taught us anything, is that, you can expect the unexpected sometimes. There's been upsets galore and people have come better than advertised. And this may be one of these sort of situations, similar to the Tyson Fury and Otto Wallin fight where Wallin, ended up performing better than people expected. It might be one of those sorts of situations. I could see this going the distance. I could see Oleksandr Usyk winning this, but by a decision and maybe a tougher fight than people were expecting. But at the end of the day, that's kind of what Oleksandr Usyk needs. He needs some tests against a proper heavyweight. And Tyrone Spong is that guy that's sort of fitting this bill. And if he does get upset by Tyrone Spong, well, then that probably really does sort of signal that maybe Usyk can't do too much at heavyweight, or maybe not as well as people have expected. I'm not completely ruling out a Tyrone Spong shock win, but certainly I'm not expecting it either. I do think this is a case where Oleksandr Usyk would have been doing his due diligence. They'll have a game plan. They'll be looking to go in there, make Spong work, but also he's going to be on the move the whole time. Oleksandr Usyk and Lomachenko, that's Ukrainian style, what they've been implementing in their fights in recent years, from what we've all seen, it's a pretty tricky style to combat, and punches are coming from all angles, and it's hard to get a respite against that, and it's hard to get some of your power punches away when you can't set your feet because your opponent is off somewhere on the other side of the ring before you even know it. But Spong, he does have a chance, but I think this one will go to a decision, and I do believe Oleksandr Usyk will get the decision. How about you? Are boxing fans underrating Tyrone Spong here because of his threadbare resume? Will he come better than advertised? Will he wind back the clock and show us something from his kickboxing days? Hopefully not kicks, but you know what I mean in terms of pulling something out of the hat and knocking Oleksandr Usyk out. I can't see it, but it's not to say it can't happen. Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.